Hey guys, Buckskin Dave here. Well, I had a question raised in a comment about what's the better action, a sharps action, which is what I'm shooting here, or rolling block action. And so I thought, well, if I say which one I think is better, that might be biased. So I figured what I do is put together a short video and we'll showcase the differences so a guy can make up his mind. I just got done shooting the sharps, and God excuse me, I'm not going to stay out here very long. It was 20 below last night, and I don't think it's gotten out of probably 8 right now. So the camera, I got to keep the camera inside. Anyway, I just shot this one. This one's in 50. The rolling blocks that I have to show, or the one that I'm going to show, is 45-90, but the caliber doesn't matter in the comparison. I mean, all these guns, whether it was a rolling block or a sharps, were made in all the different calibers. So it's just the action we're going to compare. Let's get out of the cold, go in the shop, and we'll get started. Okay, so the difference between the two rifles, or which one's better, or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to start with the sharps. With the weather change and all that, going from 8 degrees out there to whatever it is in the shop. And I'll tell you what, it's not that actually warm in the shop either. I get some oil on this stuff. So, in case condensation decides to step in. Anyway, let's talk about the sharps first. Sharps is making rifles towards the end of the Civil War, I guess, and maybe before. This is in 1874, and it's the one that everybody wants to use and shoot. It came in a variety of calibers. This one here is a 50-90, or what is called the Sharps 50 or the Sharps Big 50. The action itself is a pretty stout action. It has a block here that's better, about 1.25 inches in thickness. The sides and all that of the action are very thick, and then of course you have the barrel. This one here I built. This is modern steel barrel, and this is also not a antique. This action is a modern replication with good steel. So basically the way this thing works is you put in your round, you close it, and then you have to cock it. So in other words, so you're cocked like this. You have this one has a set trigger, which makes it a light touch. Okay. So now when you set it off, okay, it goes bang. You gotta open it, drop the round, put the new one in, close it, and then you have to cock it again. Okay. Whether you go half cock or full cock, depends if you're doing a second shot on game or something like that. You might get to it a little faster. I'll get you up close here, and the camera will focus on the action for you. So you can see how thick and robust it is. You can see the lever. The sharps actually, I think it was earlier than the 74. So one of the things to me that's kind of the big deal about the sharps rifle, and it's not that it's a big deal, it's just noticeable, is most of the guns, when the cartridge rifles came around, they all had a side hammer, or a lot of them did. There's a lot of other guns that people use for competition and all that, but in these two versions, the sharps had an exterior hammer, much like the trapdoor had an exterior hammer, and they were built off of guns that had the hammer on it, and they made them into cartridge guns. So So the other version would be the rolling block that we're talking about. And this is a copy of a rolling block action. It has the big hammer. All these guns did have a big hammer. But with this gun, the block rolled back. And you placed your cartridge in and closed it. And then you were ready to fire. You didn't have the extra having to pull the hammer back. And a lot of guns started getting made after, as more guns started getting made and designed with this type of a hammer on it, on these single shot rifles. And then actually a rifle that is a falling block, your 1885s, they had their hammer was on the inside here too. And it wasn't as pronounced. But these hammers came off of the sides of the guns, came to the center of the action. And then you have your Ruger number 1 and your number 3 that actually are built off of like the 1885, where the hammer, and then the hammer is actually internal on those guns. And the firing pin is internal. So they went from the outside and worked their way in. But one of the significant differences between the Sharps and the rolling block is this hammer, the way the hammer is put on the action. In terms of internal construction, I don't think there's anything simpler than a rolling block. And all the parts are big. If you have to take this action apart and clean it, all the parts are big, and it's very simple. 2 pins, everything's on the ground and easy to clean. So the Sharps, it's not too bad, but the Sharps has a lock plate similar to a muzzle loader, and that lock plate is designed similar to a muzzle loader, which anybody that's taken the lock plate off their muzzle loader knows there's quite a few more parts. There's not that many parts in here. It's designed quite a bit different. So this one here, I made this one around the late 1860, I think. J.P. Gemmer bought the Hawkins shop. And that was about the time these cartridge guns were really starting to pop. And of course, Hawkins wanted to get into it. They still had orders for their plains rifle, but they wanted to get into this cartridge market. And the Spencer rifle, they used Spencer actions, they used trapdoor actions, and they built it together, and it looked much like a Hawken. And they also did some rolling blocks. I found some pictures of rolling blocks. The pictures were taken in 1873, and they were rolling block rifles similar to this, and that's what I designed this after action. So it's a rolling block, it's a Hawken, and it has, of course, a cleaning rod on it. Interesting thing, when I built this rifle, I built it on the internet. You can go back into my archives and find when I built this. So I actually took it out to shoot it. And what was funny is I was talking about the ramrod kind of coming in handy on a hunting trip or whatever. Well, the first shot I took out of it, the case didn't come out. It's a little bit stuck. It wouldn't come out. So I was able to, and I didn't Hollywood that. It just happened. And I've never had one stick after that. But anyway, that's kind of the difference of the actions. Rolling block seems to have gotten more of the military contracts. Rolling block got the copyright or patent got sold in Europe, and they were building rolling blocks over there. The only thing different between them was the actions are measured out in the metric system. They went all over the world. And when you get these actions, I don't know, this one had a 7 Mauser barrel attached to it. This is actually an antique action. It was made in about the 20s. So I take that back. This one was made around just after the turn of the century, 1910. So it's made of modern steel. Of course, the barrel's modern steel. I have one that I built for a guy, and it was a number 1 action. Now, this is a number 5 action. The number 1 action is exactly like this, but it was made for before the nickel steel came into, and so it's more recommended to use with black powder and lower pressure. Okay, we're going to work with the rolling block. Okay, it's open already, so start, put it in. Now, there was some rolling block lower ends that came out with a better trigger. This is not one of them. I made this trigger better with a sear kit I bought. Well, it's actually a spring kit I bought, and a little bit of filing. I made this thing where it has a good trigger. Most of these rolling blocks had military triggers on them. They were pretty stout. So let's see if I can hit anything. Oh yeah. I like this rifle because it's quite a bit heavier than the other one, which means it doesn't boot near as hard. It's kind of handy because this does have a crescent buttstock on it. As you can see, whoops. As you can see, loading would be as easy as pulling that out. Putting the other one in. Okay, you're already cocked. You don't have to cock it. That's better. Things don't work as well when it's 8 degrees out, and I didn't put my capote back on, so let's go back in. So either of these actions, they come in variety calibers, whether you buy a replica or you can still buy a Sharps rifle from either C Sharps or Shiloh Sharps. And I built all mine. I didn't build the actions, but I built on the actions. And I made, you can, if you buy them like from a replica company like Buffalo Arms, or you buy them from Dixie or somewhere like that, they'll come in, you know, most of them will come in 45-70. Man, that ain't a bad thing, because you can find 45-70 stuff everywhere. 45-90 is probably your next best choice. I like the 90 myself. I don't think you can do much more with a 90 load wise than you can, but I like it. And when I got into it, I got a lot of 45-90 brass. That's the only thing you got to worry about. The 45-70 bullets and stuff work, and the primers work. The Sharps that I have is in a 50-90. The rolling blocks, it was a military round, and the 50-70 was a military round. So that is a round that came in back in the day. The 50-70 isn't too bad. Getting brass for the 45-90 or the 45, getting brass for the 50-90 or the 50-70, well, if you get the 50-90 brass, you can cut it for the 50-70, but that's a little harder to come by. I lucked onto some on eBay. So you just got to look around and get creative. But they also came in a lot of other calibers that aren't as popular, but they're really good calibers if you can find the reloading stuff for them. Anyway, I've been out here shooting this for a little bit. I decided to turn the camera on. It's so cold out here, I got to bring the camera in, warm it up, and then come back out. Anyway, I want to shoot a couple more rounds. I just love shooting this gun. And I like shooting. I'm even just shooting at short distance here in the snow, but I'm doing it all offhand. And I like to keep my offhand. Hand strong and steady. So in case I have to do that one day in an emergency in the field, I'll be able to do it. So, or maybe hopefully be able to do it better. need to make a belt for this, cartridge belt. Anyway, so whoever asked that question about the comparison, I hope that answered some of them. There might be a few differences, but I got to shoot, and I like shooting. And I like shooting these, and even in this winter climate, I can shoot them with close, but I'm getting my holding offhand shooting, getting that arm a little stronger and getting that a little better. So anyway, I can't say that one or the other is my favorite. What's that saying? Both, coach? I like them both. They were interesting parts of history at different times, and they were used for different things. And so I kind of really like them both. And I like them in bigger calibers, the 45s and the 50, mainly because I hunt deer and elk, and if I'm going to use one of these rifles for deer and elk, I want to be heavier ones. There's a lot of those other calibers that they came in. Nothing wrong with them. I use these calibers because it's easier for me to get stuff to make them work. I mean, as it is, I make my own bullets, you know. I don't shoot, you can buy some factory bullets, but I make my own on the bullets, and I just like shooting them both. So anyway, that's all I have for you. Thanks for stopping by. I'm Buckskin Dave. Hopefully when the weather changes, we'll do a bunch more shooting. I know I want to. And we'll go from there. We'll shoot a little further away too, and some more interesting targets. Anyway, please stick with me. Bye-bye for now. And I'll see you next time.